Indian River Connections brings you the first source you can watch for truth on board decisions in Indian River County. The Board Report, where taxpayers and policymakers intersect. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite platform to get notified when we go live on Fridays at 7 p.m. Visit IndianRiverConnections.com for more. Sponsored by Gus Curran's House of Champions.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Binford Chronicles. I'm Joanne Binford, and this here is John Karapi.
Hey, how you doing? Welcome to the Board Report, everybody. It's been a while since I've been here, so it's been a minute. I missed being on the show and discussing all the stuff's going on around in your county and beyond. How you doing?
I know. Doing good. You were traveling. How were your travels?
Everything was good. Yeah, everything worked out good. We had a good time just getting away from the noise, basically. You know, got to get out of town and get away from the noise and the static and the things that are all around us. So, but now it's good. Good to be back. I'm refreshed.
Yeah, I'm kind of jealous. So, right. This week on the Board Report, our returning guest is George Colon, a professional counseling and recovery coach.
Nice. George is a good friend of mine. I'm very honored to have him on the show again. And the subjects that he talks about, recovery, is near and dear to my heart because my mother went through a lot of addiction issues down the road and late in her life. And so George and I are on the same page with that. He was actually a guest on my podcast, The Collective Dream, as well. We did an episode on that about addiction and the mental health of the children and things of that nature. So I'm looking forward to it. I really enjoy this. This is a subject matter that's really important with mental health and childhood trauma.
Yeah, because fentanyl has been a big issue in our nation, all enhanced by the Biden era open borders, right? And we're not just dealing with fentanyl that crossed our borders, but we're also dealing with mental health issues that come along with it and an increase in homeless people as well.
Yeah, no doubt. And that's a lot of the big time with homelessness is addiction. And it always stems back from trauma, whether it's from family trauma, childhood trauma, sexual abuse, those type of situations. It leads to addiction. And, George is a recovery champion and a mental health expert, and he understands exactly what we're going to be talking about tonight. And then we bring the experts to the table to discuss it.
Yeah. So
you want to
move on to move on to the commercial, and thank our sponsor, Gus Curran's House of Champions.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Gus. Go ahead and roll the commercial.
The same old workout? Come knock out your fitness goals at Gus Curran's House of Champions. Founded in 1996 right here in Vero Beach, Florida, our Hall of Fame trainers will push you to your limits and beyond. Whether you're a beginner or a pro, we have the perfect class for you, including the one-of-a-kind Rock Steady Parkinson's training. So come join the fight and unleash the champion inside you. Give them a call, 772-713-1157, or go to gchouseofchampions.com.
Welcome back, everybody. We've got George Colon coming on board with us. Right, John?
Yep. Bring it on, George.
All right. Hold on.
He's there.
Yeah.
There he is.
Hello, Joanne and John. Good to see you both again.
What's up, buddy?
Good to see you. A lot of stuff going on, right?
A lot of stuff. And George, you've been covering this for a long time. And finally, we're seeing what's happening, with all of this fentanyl and the drugs and the opioids. You've been warning us for a very long time.
Yeah, it's I love you guys because you always you're not afraid to tell the truth. And when truth seekers find the truth, then they know they can be of more help to humanity and society. But when people live in denial, then it's heartbreaking because people get affected by that.
Yeah. And, I've been seeing a lot of homeless out there in Vero Beach. Just the other day, I was, going down US 1 and I turned my head to the left and there's like 8 homeless people on the sidewalk. And then I go a few more blocks getting closer to 12th Street and there's 2 more people on the right side, homeless. And it's something that I'm not used to seeing here in Vero Beach, but it's increasing. The numbers are climbing.
Yeah, there's an epidemic going on. Even the current administration is trying to address that, the resources. I always love what John says, follow the money, where the money's going. And are we really helping people? Is that our intent? Or are people benefiting? And, what's really going on with that? And so that's always been something that I admire when he says it.
Yep, he's so truthful and authentic about the subjects that matter, and fentanyl is really important for us to discuss because it's had an impact on America, and it's profoundly it's the driving deadliest drug crisis in our history right now.
It's, you know, it when I, as you know, when I went to Washington 2021 for Lost Voices of Fentanyl, that's where I met my friend Derek Maltz and April Babcock and many other uh, people that were affected by this, and some weren't. But what we saw it back then. And the reality of that is, and we'll get to talking about it, is that even here in our community, um, till we accept the truth, what we allow will continue. It'll continue. And at the cost of human lives, men, women, every nation, it's a red, white, and blue issue. It's not just one demographic, one party. And Derek has been one who's been doing this. And when I share with you, as you probably know already, where this has been coming from and still coming from, and thank God for this current administration for the border closing and amping that up.
Oh, I know. And people don't realize, but fentanyl, it really affects a certain age group between 18 and 45 and 50, and those are young people. They're in their prime of their life. 18 years are just starting out learning about life, and for it to just go down the fentanyl road, it just destroys anything they could have become or been or learned in life. And then you have older adults that are 45, 30, 35. It's really impacting these younger people.
Not to mention, not to mention that a lot of these accidental overdoses too, because kids that are addicted to pills, addicted to synthetics, addicted to Concerta and Ambien and all these different things. They think that's what they're getting, and then they take it and they think they're going to sleep, and then they never wake up. And that happened to someone I know, that happened a couple of years ago, that their child ended up with something that was laced, and the next thing you know, they're no longer here. And I think that's the devastating parts too, because it's not just the addiction part. It's just the getting a hold of things that they shouldn't be getting a hold of, because it should never came into the country in the first place.
And that is, most people don't know that fentanyl, the medical and the deadly one, they come from China. I'm not buying anything from China.
Yeah.
Doctors, dentists use it. I talked to a dentist 2 or 3 years ago, and he goes, I give my patients for fentanyl for pain. And I said, well, what happens if they get addicted to fentanyl? Right. And he goes, that's not my problem. And I said, great, nice to know you. My friend Derek Maltz is a former DEA agent. We'll make sure you're on the radar. Since then, he retired.
Wow.
So there's profit on the money, that people make money. I get some of them, their intent with some, that they want to be helpful. I get that. When I was getting dental work, I never took fentanyl.
Right,
it wasn't around.
Yeah.
So China's intent, they provide the precursor. They've been providing the precursor. They provide the so-called medical one. I ain't buying anything from China. I'm just not. Me and the people I associate with, we don't buy any chemicals from China. We won't take any medicine. Their intent is to destroy the American dream, and that's what they're doing.
And doctors like that, that's how regular people like you and I that are just working hard to make a living end up getting addicted to fentanyl, and it ruins their lives. And fentanyl, like we talked in one episode, it's not just something you can detox from. It totally affects you and imbalances your body, the chemicals in your body. And so it is a painful withdrawal, and many people either die during withdrawal or just can't get clean from it. It's a very dangerous addiction.
Some people need up to 6 shots of Narcan.
Wow.
6. Now, that's just to get the body shocked so they can maybe have that moment of the breath of life, which is suppressed.
Wow.
And so you think about it. I have tons of Narcan. I have tons, and I carry it in my car, my truck. And I carry at least 3 or 4, because if somebody's on that, I'm going to use it all. But, law enforcement, I don't know how many they carry. Usually they carry 1 or 2. But I've known people who've needed, and I've talked to people in the field that have come in and trying to get their lives in order. One kid needed 6 shots of Narcan, 21 years old.
Wow. That
21.
is such a shame. That is so sad.
It is sad. And I don't know where he is today, but I was glad when he was alive, when he told me that. I met another young man 4 months ago. He had OD'd 3 times from fentanyl, and he needed up to 3 or 4 shots of Narcan. So this is not like smoke a joint and, or drink a couple beers and we're going to like feel like chill. This is like your life is pretty much in jeopardy.
Yeah, it's really dangerous. Well, George, a lot of people don't realize that are watching how long you've been an advocate for this and how long you've been pushing for this. I have a little clip that I want to put up here to show everybody. And this is just in 2023. So let's bring it up.
Can't hear it at all.
I can't hear it at all. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
Of my federal agents have
Let's
seen
rewind that.
Yeah.
not prejudice. Not only people who are addicted get affected by fentanyl, those who have other issues, medical issues. And it hasn't seemed to be as important in this country as some of my federal agents have seemed to understand, especially here in Florida. I don't know why. Really don't know why. But the FBI, DEA is on top of this, and everybody else in this country is asleep on it. Maybe it hasn't affected them yet or their children, but I guarantee you, go to Washington, D.C., they will alert you. Why do I say that? 3 years ago, when I went to Washington, D.C. to protest about this thing that's killing people in front of the China embassy, thank God we had some agents there from the DEA and FBI recognizing the seriousness of this. Some other people don't want to classify it. It's like goes over their head. Good luck with your life if you're on some medication. Why? The cartel has become experts now in infiltrating the medical field. So it might not be important to some people, but I guarantee you it will be. It's not going to affect me, thank God, because of the support of Washington, D.C., now with David Mayfield, Posey, and now Santos. So thank God those people are hearing what this thing has done, all right? It's not just an outside issue.
That was how many years ago?
Yeah, that was in 2023. And you're telling them there that 2 years prior to that, which takes you back to 2021, that you've been advocating for this and saying, look, we need to wake up. We're having an issue. And that's how long you've been doing this for.
And it's amazing you bring that up because you know me and documents. So back in September 9th, 2022, I got a letter. Back then it was the Honorable Peter O'Brien, who was the chairman. We were meeting to discuss about some things as the drug scene, the sober home scene. And when I got back from, as I mentioned before, from Washington, I would meet with Sheriff Flowers. At that time, a supporter was Laura Moss. I don't know where these people are. We're going to get into that in a little bit, not right now. At that moment, they were supporters. Why? When you have federal people like Derek Maltz And now, we have Tom Homan, and now we have Bongino. There's going to be an accountability. There's going to be an accountability. If Derek has been doing this years before I have, and I've been doing it since 2021, and they get a little tithered because I tell them the truth, or they get their little feelings hurt because they're not doing enough to protect the community, I'm going to be outspoken about it. That's just the way it's going to be. They don't like it. Doge needs to come in. I'm pushing for Doge and FBI because every life is sacred. Every life is sacred.
Yeah.
And I look at it, I see it. I've been in the field for 15 years, as you know, and I've seen some people get their lives turned around, but I've seen them battle. But if the community is oblivious and is ill qualified, maybe they shouldn't be serving the community. That's my feeling.
Well, I read somewhere, George, that in 2021, 71,000 deaths were occurring in the U.S. with synthetic opioids.
Yes.
That's a lot of deaths just on opioids.
Yes. And
it's
if you look, 100%. And if you look at our court system, they slap you on the wrist. They slap you on there's no accountability in the court system. I've gotten into it with judges, and I would love to investigate judges. I don't know where the money's going, who's getting money, if there's getting money, but how do you release someone with 20 or 30 convictions? How?
Soft on crime. That soft on crime is the worst thing ever.
Yeah, it's created, it endangers the community. Then it also endangers law enforcement. So not only is the community now at the higher stake, now law enforcement, I just got my concealed license.
Hey, I'm proud of you.
So I'm ready they could bring it on.
All right, we're going to go shoot now. We got to go shoot.
We could go shoot now because you know what I'm realizing? A lot of people are resorting to that because if those who say they're going to protect us and take care of us are not doing their job, the Second Amendment's going to come into play. It's going to come into play. And I know many militias and many people that have amped up their supplies because they will take care of their families, serve and protect. So if those who serve and protect can't protect us, guess what we got to do? We got to protect ourselves.
That's right.
And that's what it's coming to, sadly. Hopefully not. Hopefully not, because now with more ICE agents, thank God for Tom Homan and this current administration, they ain't playing. They ain't playing. Even China, they're taking the land back that China's been buying on a lot of these opiate places in the Midwest. I've seen this 4 or 5 years ago. And I'm like, well, who the hell is selling land to China? Well, China has infiltrated the marijuana industry, the opiate industry. We already know cocaine and fentanyl because they know how to try and destroy us. And so, when those of us who've been ahead of the game, we're not better, we've been ahead of the game. But when, I don't want to call them clowns, but when some of these guys or people don't want to give credence to what we're saying is they're not qualified. Maybe we're getting information from the right source and they're not. Could that be the case?
Could be, but you know what, George, let's hold it right there and take a commercial break. And then we're going to come back because we're going to fast forward to all this work that you've been doing has come to fruition in our county. And we're going to cover that when we come back after the commercial. So everybody stick around. We're going to take a commercial break and we'll be right back.
Warrior Shield Foundation is here to unite, honor, and provide support for veterans, first responders, and Gold Star family members. The foundation will enable them to find the help they need through direct assistance, or by connecting them with our shared vision network. Using data-driven models, we provide solutions that make a long-lasting difference. We, along with our partners, are dedicated to bringing together like-minded groups and individuals who have committed to making a difference in the lives of our hardworking, everyday heroes. We bridge the gap by connecting warriors or their families with the assistance they deserve and require, such as service dogs, wheelchairs, counseling, scholarships, and team-building retreats, to name a few. You can help right now to make a difference for those who have helped and protected us all. Warrior Shield Foundation, selflessly doing for those who need it most.
It's a long way to home, but you won't take the hard road all alone. Just look to your left and look to your right. You were born to fight.
Hi, everybody. If you're just joining us, this is the board report brought to you by Indian River Connections. I'm here with John Karapi, and our special guest today is George Colon. He's a professional counselor and recovery coach. Let's bring him on board.
Hello, thank you again. Thank you for having me. So I'm excited to see the information that you have.
Yes, you know, you've been working on this for a long time, and I just want the viewers to understand how hard and how much dedication you have put into this. You know, Indian River County has been our small hometown county, family feel county, and sometimes people just they just don't wake up and see the changes. They're stuck in their, I love this county, it's beautiful county, and they don't see what's happening behind the scenes because they're not exposed to it. But you're bringing this forward because you are a recovery coach and you do counseling and you work with drug addiction and you see it and you're concerned about it, and you're bringing this to the people to say, look, our town is in crisis. So let me bring this soundbite up for everybody to see, George.
Okay.
Okay, I don't know why my sound was off on all of these. Let's bring it here.
This is powder fentanyl that's in there. More powder fentanyl in here. More pressed pills.
Indian River County Sheriff Eric Flowers is pointing out some of the illegal drugs confiscated during Operation Knockdown in an effort to battle drug trafficking on the Treasure Coast.
The big deal here is that we're focused on this fentanyl. This is where we're having the big overdoses at.
Detectives confiscated weapons and money, and they're also focusing on going after drug dealers suspected of overdose deaths. The sheriff says in 2021, they had 7 fatal arrest cases. In 2022, 9, 23, 3 arrests, and so far this year, 1 fatal arrest case.
Knockdown picked up in 2023 and ran for almost the entire year. We're here to talk about it today because a number of these folks have recently been brought in for federal charges, for state charges, and we're finally at a point where we're ready to disclose all of this information.
The sheriff says they're still looking for this guy, Paul Bryant. He says he's still active and they need the public's help.
It's a crisis in America. It's not just here in Indian River County. You know, I went down to the border a couple weeks ago and it's wide open. There are people trafficking this stuff right across our border.
So I wanted to bring it back to here. Let me see if I can see it. Right here. Let me stop it there. And the reason I wanted to bring it back here, George, is because you were advocating for this in 2021 and people were just not listening. And look, they had 7 fatal arrest cases. Now, once they woke up, the fatal arrest cases got lower. Do you see that? Because they're working on it and they're catching it before it's killing people.
So, yes, that's true. But what also is happening is that our system is broken because the accountability, as we talked about, when I met him with Laura Moss and some other agents, I said, we'll put you on the national map right after Washington, D.C., right? Make fentanyl murder one. It just, you strike it hard, come in full throttle. And, listen, everybody has their own personality, but I believe everybody's life is valuable. I'm going in full throttle. I'm bringing in Mossad. I'm bringing in special forces. I'm cleaning house. There's no negotiating. But what happens in our system is they have what's tremendous amount of repeat offenders that go through the court. Why? Follow the money. When you follow the money and they go back out, they got.
Oh, we lost him, John.
Oh, geez. He pulled a John Karapi. I got my internet fixed now, so I haven't had that issue, knock on wood. So,
yeah,
but just to feed off of what George is saying is that, we, just like how we all met, you and me and Mike and all the people, Jennifer Pippin, Thomas Kinney, we went to the school board meeting. We warned them of what was to come next with everything that was happening with the mental health crisis, the masks, the kids getting on pills, getting addicted. We were warning him, and see, he was too. And then you see the trend start to come down because more and more people were focused and paying attention to the border. Even Chef Flowers said, I've been to the border, they're trafficking this stuff right over the border, and that was all by design to let people see how this administration, how we've been duped to be told that the border is secure when it never really was. It was never secure in the first place. And that's what people need to understand, that it was never secure. It was never secure in the first place. So it's, so they that's where you have to warn them as citizens to say, hey, look, like you said, make it, a death. Go ahead. There's George now. Make it where, the fentanyl is, what was you saying, George? It was, make it, Schedule 1.
Yeah. So yes, great point. Make it Schedule 1. They didn't want to make it Schedule 1.
Yeah.
The administration within the past 2-3 months just scheduled it 1, meaning the minimum amount of sentence is 10 to 25. I'm gonna go a lot more. I'm gonna say life, because once that person is dead that took the fentanyl, they're gone.
Yeah,
So
you
this
can't bring them back. There's no
can't bring them back. So this
recovery.
criminal gets slapped on the hand for 10, 15, 20 years. There has to be a tremendous amount of accountability. And so I think, I'm grateful that there's the 10 to 25. Thank God for this current administration. It wasn't like that before. There have been fentanyl dealers listed in Indian River County that have gotten out. Dealers.
Wow.
And they have gotten out. If you look at the Indian River report, see what I love about Doge, they can go all the way back and find all those reports of what's happening. FBI can go all the way back, find all those reports, and then who was the arresting officer, the amount of quantity, also who was the judge that allowed that individual to come out. So I think this is not over. I think it's just beginning, because I think the truth is surfacing. And, I think Trump with Holman and the new DEA administrator and, all his staff members, I think they've had it with the gaslighting. And they're going full throttle. So even in this county for years, as you guys know, I provided you data. There was a gentleman by Ryan Blade. You remember Ryan Blade?
Yeah, I remember Ryan Blade.
Right? He did an interview on me. He's the one who filmed that, right? So he goes, George, let's get on an interview. I said, I'm going to get in trouble. He goes, you're in trouble anyway. I said, good. I love it. And he did it. And then he even wrote an article. At that time, the county commissioners and the city council has never been interested in this. And if they say something different, I'd be happy to go there and talk to them. When Brackett was in office, I'm going to go down the line. Brackett, who's the new guy in there? The mayor, John. I don't know how to pronounce his.
Contugo? John Contugo?
Listen, these guys, they don't want to hear about addiction. They don't want to hear about sober homes.
They don't want to hear about hydrochloric acid. They don't want to hear about nothing until the state tells them, hey, go ahead and fix it now.
Well, that's just what happened. That's what happened with the fentanyl, John.
Yeah.
Not the fentanyl. water,
the water, the hydrochloric
exactly,
acid. Yeah,
exactly.
They just blew it off, and then and then recently, that the local papers are writing all these good articles about that guy Voss. What's the guy's name? The one of the city councilmen. Taking his side over the whole Moore thing and the whole kilted mermaid thing, and so it's all skewed. Everything is skewed, so we have to show the truth. We have to bring it to light, like George said. Everything's being skewed. They're all trying to cover everything up. It's a big cover up. See, the thing is the crime is bad, but it's the cover up of the crime is what's going to happen. Many will fall in the fall. So when the fall rolls around, many are going to fall here soon. They're going to get caught. They're going to get arrested. Things are going to happen. Like you said, accountability has to come at some point. Whether it's local, it's federal, it's state, it's all going to have to come at some point. People died because of this border being open. People died because they didn't listen to George. People died because they're not listening to the people. We, the people, we're the ones that run the country. It's our country, not theirs. It's ours. They're just puppets that are being told what to do and being paid and bribed to bribe these judges and make sure that they are letting these people off so they go back out on the street and they commit the crimes again. And the next thing you know, somebody passes away from fentanyl because it's laced with some pill that drug dealer that got let out by that judge that got bribed, and then somebody dies. And everybody
the sad thing is most people don't wake up to it until it's their own family member.
Exactly.
Oh my God. Exactly.
The sad thing is fentanyl is so strong, that you can just put like a little dab in pill. That's all it takes. And if you measure it wrong, all it's going to take is one pill, and it could be your son never did it or your daughter never did it, but somebody convinced them to try it that one time.
Absolutely.
And you'll never see your child again.
And what's happening is China knows that the government is onto fentanyl. So they got nitazene, which is 100% more than fentanyl. So they got nitazene. They're coming out with so many other things that are like, okay, you're just dead. Narcan can't help. Some of these other things that China has created. And so when we try to bring this attention, when I brought that information to the sheriff's department, at first they were interested. They're not in the drug field. So they're not in the addiction field. They're in the law enforcement. They think they're in the drug field. They do confiscate drug. But if they haven't gone and gotten some training in the field of addiction and the drug field, they're law enforcement. They enforce the law. Many of them want to feel they're addiction specialists. They're not. They're just not. All right. So let's get that. Same thing with the county commissioners and the city council. So what happens is ego gets in the way of people because I got a badge or I'm an official. But they're ill-informed, or they just nothing bad. They don't have the training or the data or the information to provide truth to what's happening in the community. So therefore, they have to push the truth tellers away because they're going to be exposed. It's going to happen. I know. I await the day. Bongino was just in Martin County.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, yo, bro, you got to stop in Vero. I'll even buy you lunch, And, he's got his hands full. But I think, and I want to believe they got Vero on the radar because the latest. So. Yeah. Well, with the latest things happening with that nutball, and I'm just going to say it, the dildo queen, and then let's do some dirty dancing, right? That shit never happened in Vero, and I've been here 40 yeyears.
Well, you know what she says? She says those who feel that way or think that way, well, that's a you problem.
Yeah. Well, you also
they project. So they project and say that you're the one that has the problem. You're the one that doesn't agree with what we do. You got the problem, and that's
well, it's funny that a representative can say that's a you problem, and then in the same sentence say I represent all the people.
Exactly. There you go. Okay.
So mental illness is rampant, right? Mental illness. I can project whatever I want on someone, and because I have a little title, that makes me somewhat important, maybe a little bit of money too, and that makes me important. They might think they are,
Yeah.
but the truth will come out. It will come out. So, did you read the latest? The Indian River planner was just arrested, Indian River
Oh yeah, I
County,
saw that. Yeah,
for drug distribution right here in
yeah,
Indian River County. Indian River is getting so famous. I
yeah.
love it.
I know.
Right? He was the planner. He got arrested. He extorted his grandfather for property.
Yeah,
And he was an Indian River planner. The documents just came out.
yeah. And he
He,
gave
he
him Ambien. He gave him too much Ambien and killed him.
yeah.
That's what. Yeah.
Oh
And I think
man,
he
that is
died.
so
I think he
sad.
Supposedly he gave him
yeah.
too much. Yeah, a bunch of Ambien in it. I think he died from it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you have drug dealers that are,
That are
forgive me
working
So
for
for the county. They're
disgusting.
literally working for the county. That you got
yeah.
drug dealers working
Yeah.
for the county now. It's like,
Yeah.
what the hell's going on here?
And you've had arrested. There was another guy that a sheriff just north. He just got arrested. Came down, supporting a illegal China marijuana plant. He was a sheriff. He was a sheriff, and it just came out. He got arrested. So here's the sheriff supporting a China supported, opiate or marijuana plant. A sheriff is supporting that. Wow. Thank God. Well, that could happen here in Vero too. We don't know. I don't know.
Well, it can. It just shows you that your representatives can be so corrupt. They can take advantage of that title, like you're saying, and that position. And, just like we heard a representative for the city say, I represent all people, but then telling people, well, that's a you problem. It's a slap in the face. And then we heard an ex-mayor speaking from the heart, who is a long-term generational family member of this community that served, saying, I voted for you twice. And this is disturbing. I mean, but people are still commenting and supporting this person and overlooking it. So it is a people problem, because people are just turning their head, and they're not, we're fighting, and there are people like us that are fighting against this, but there's
The thing is like what Tony Young did there, that if he's a former mayor, and I know some of his grandkids, and I went to school with a lot of his
what a nice man.
He is a nice man.
But
I'll tell you a story about him after John.
Yeah, the funny part is that, like, you remember I told you that we got infiltrated, our community and our town got infiltrated by this hive mind, this mind virus, and so he fell for the Linda Moore garbage. He fell for it because he says, well, Linda, I voted for you twice. I think you have special talent that you bring to this community. Because at first, when she first got here, she did have she did redo that building. She did start to build a nice business there.
Yeah, and then she changed.
But then, she didn't change. No, what they do is they infiltrate, and they come in and they do it slow.
It's a mask.
It's a mask. So it's like, look at me, I'm eclectic, and I'm making this kilted mermaid, something different in Vero. And I fell for it too. Don't get me wrong. Like, I was like, oh, cool. But then when I went to ask them for support from their business to support an organization I represented, and I spoke about this at the city council meeting, I told Linda, I said, well, I came to you asking you for support, and you told me you weren't going to support the organization I represent because you said my organization doesn't like gays. It's a discrimination against gays. And I looked at her and I said, why would I work for an organization that discriminates against people? I've never done that. I said, if you think that, that's up to you. I said, but on my watch on this organization, we haven't discriminated against anybody in the organization. And I always remembered that. So that's when I started to realize that the mask came down. I was like, oh, you're for the community, and you're for unity and equity and inclusion. But then as soon as you don't want to support something that you think that I go against what you believe in, you have a problem with that. And that's where I saw that. So Tony got duped. And he voted for her twice.
100%.
That's why I said people get what you vote for, but see, you got fooled. He got deceived because of her ways.
See, I liked going there too when it first opened up, and then when I went there to use the restroom and there was no ladies' room, I stopped going. I said, I'm not going any place that's not going to honor me as a woman.
Yeah.
Amen.
There you
Amen.
go. See, and that's where
that's
you
when
pick up on the infiltration. Like it's so slowly she
It-
changed the
it's
bathroom.
subtle.
Like, oh, it's men and women, but now I'm going to make them all join bathrooms. Now I'm going to do this. Then I'm going to have a Pride Day. Then I'm going to have a Pride Month. Then
You
I'm
know
gonna
what
have
it
a
was
Pride
called?
Party.
It was called a whatever. It was called a whoever bathroom. That's what it said on the door. And I was like,
what?
what the F is this? Where's my ladies' room where I could powder my nose and see flowers and not worry about somebody peeing on the seat,
Exactly.
I just was like, this is disgusting. I don't want to come here anymore.
And like George said, he's been here for 40 years. I've been here for 40 years. We want to see the town grow. We wanted to see it evolve, but it became too progressive to the fact that we became blinded by the fact that it was happening and we were going along with it and we were supporting these places. I was supporting Kilted. I was supporting these places.
Yeah.
But eventually you have to pull yourself out of it and say, wait a minute, this isn't what we want here. We gotta not support this anymore.
I felt like they eliminated me as a woman there.
Oh, well,
that's how I felt, because I was like, there's no woman space here.
Yeah. And that's why they loved Obama and all that situation, because they were good for that. So they saw that was contorting to their agenda. So you're the one with the problem, not them.
Yeah. So it's amazing you bring out Tony Young. I love Tony Young. You guys are going to love this. So, I was a graffiti writer from the 70s to 75. I made my mark nationally in Europe and in New York, been in movies and a lot of books. And I did a mural. It was All Lives Matter. Yeah, but it was red, white, and blue, right? Red, white, and blue. Tony Young came over. He goes, yo, you rock it. Me and a great artist by the name of Dan, amazing artist. He drew the world with 6 or 8 different color hands, so we are all inclusive, right? You should have seen the backlash I got. They said they went, you could find the article. TC Palm News did the article. They crossed over it. Black Lives Matter, this matter, that matter.
Yep, I remember when they did that.
Yeah, and so when I asked her to do a mural, she goes, "You're not going to do a mural," and I said, "Why can't I do a mural?" She goes, "You believe in all that lives matter thing." And I said, "Do you know what the purpose of that mural was? It was to honor all human beings." And I work in the field of addiction, and I honor all human beings. She's never she's never allowed me to paint in one of her walls. I don't really need her minor credentiality, because she's in the art world. She's not really nothing, I can tell you that. But the reality is that she knew that there it is.
Pull that up, John, so we could see it better.
Yes.
Yeah, and she talks about being artistic and bringing art, but look how beautiful that was. I remember when they painted over it, and I posted on my Facebook, this is what it used to be, all lives matter, and they crossed off. It was a beautiful mural.
Yeah. And what happened was then it became a controversy. And then what happened was I was trying to employ and meet with the sheriff's department and different commissioners. And many, I'll tell you guys this, my life is threatened.
John. Can't see
my life was threatened. It was threatened. So I went to the sheriff's department. I grew up in the city. And when people threaten you, your dander gets up a little bit. And I went to the sheriff's and police department. I said, "Yo, boys, you got stuff?" And they go, "What are you talking about?" I said, "If anybody comes to my door and they threaten me, what are my rights?" "You have the right to protect yourself. Amendment number 2. I said, "Great, thank you." And I went to a place here in town that has tremendous amounts of armaments. And okay. There it is. Yeah.
Yeah, look how beautiful. Look what they did. Black Lives Matter.
Yeah. And the cowards in this county, I mean, listen, I don't give into negativity. I will defend myself for sure, and I will defend my family and my loved ones. But these are like gas people. Like John was saying, they got masks. They think they're tough. They have idea.
Let me ask you this now. You painted this in 2018, right?
Yeah, when I got back.
This is how it upon completion, 2018. So then when the George Floyd happened, They decided,
That's what
and they
did.
decided that they were going to change it all of a sudden after all that time that it was there.
Yeah.
And George Floyd dies, and then they decide to change it. So that just goes to show you every time I always say something, it's always selective outrage.
Yeah,
so they find something and then they turn it into an outrage.
Yeah, and they also went downtown and did the whole kneel thing.
Look at that. Yeah. So
don't
I
they
could
realize that Black Lives was part of that mural already?
100%. 100%. Yeah. So they
and qualified. Look at what it says. Do what world have wanted us to do. That's what you did in your mural. You put everybody in it. It was them that were dividing us. It's like it was for everybody, all colors, all walks of lives.
Look at this. Wow.
The poison of people, the division and the poison of people and buying the rhetoric has created such a sickness and mental derangement in this country that it's going to take a long time for people to come out of it, right? One of my best friends, was Spike Lee's brother. Spike Lee's brother. Spike is a famous director, famous producer. Chris and I went to the High School of Art and Design. I love Chris like a brother. I gave the eulogy when Chris died. You could look that up also, George Cologne and Spike Lee, and you'll see the article that they printed. And I loved his brother tremendously, a great guy, And so what happens is there's been so much poison instead of unity and harmony. There have been more division and poisoning, right? Not honoring women, not honoring children. So if they destroy the fabric, which is family, and women, which are the nurturers, the family, the mothers, if they destroy the nurturers and the family arrangement, what do we have left?
Nothing.
And that's China's objective.
Yeah, and our own government has been destroying the fabric of families for decades through the welfare system. You can't have a man in the household, and that has just kept mothers with several baby daddies staying on welfare, and then they breed another set of welfare generational people because that's all they know.
That goes back to the beginning of the show. It's generational trauma. It's what you see when you're younger, how you do it, and then people become addicted to drugs because they're sitting home doing nothing. They're not working. They're depending on the state. That was all by design. A good book to read that talks about all this is the book called "The Behold a Pale Horse" by Bill Cooper. He talks about the whole playbook of all that to remove the children from the family, put them into the public schools, remove the dad from the home, put them in projects, put them on welfare, get them addicted to drugs, get them addicted to alcohol. It's all then they end up in jail. It's all a vicious cycle. It's all by design. It doesn't have to be that way.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
The welfare system has totally demoralized the generations that have lived on it, because if a lot of them have lost their faith in God. It's all government feed me, government take care of me. I can scam the government, and it's not a leg up. A leg up welfare program would be you can keep your father in the house, and because it takes usually a 2-year program to complete, usually either 2 years for an electrical apprenticeship program or something. So give your father an opportunity to do something while he's at home working, go to school. You have 2 years to do it. And this welfare program is temporary. You know what I'm saying? Give him a leg up, not a lifetime of welfare and a lifetime of however many baby daddies you want. And you could change that cycle if it was a hand up, not a continuous cycle of demoralization and living in poverty.
Yeah.
That's why you have a lot of homeless.
Yeah. So there's a, I don't know if you guys know, but have you heard of Thrive, which was a different name before? Okay.
What was it called before, George?
Oh, SAC.
Oh, yeah.
SAC?
Substance Abuse Center.
Oh,
All right.
okay.
You're going to love that. I interviewed with all of them, and I have my own theory on some of that. So check this out. So it's August 28th, 2025. They are finally coming out, one community, one cause, overdose and fentanyl awareness summit.
Okay.
I'm happy for that. All right. Sometimes better late than never.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the qualifications of the person who is overseeing this.
Oh,
You
geez.
guys correct me. I've been wrong in my life a couple times, quite a bit, and I get corrected. I could take it in the chin. Okay.
Yep.
She's not an addiction specialist. Dr. Barbosa, Chief Health and Wellness Officer, a physician. We're dealing with addiction.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I, I,
So how
I,
are they helping these people? So
I'm going to go find out.
people are
I'm going to
coming
go
to
find out.
thrive.
And they
I'm
don't
gonna
really
go,
care for
I
me.
kind of figured you would. Maybe I'll go with you, George.
What is that again?
It's August. It's I'll send you the link. It's August 28th, 2025. I
All
hope
right.
one of you guys can attend.
What
From
time
six,
is it at?
it's from 6 to 8:30 at the Emerson Center, Thursday, August 28th, 2025. I'm excited to go to hear what they are doing. Because I'm going to tell you something. They don't have the information that Derek Maltz gave me back in 2022. So
Mm.
I want to hear what they have, that a guy who was the former director for 28 years, then took a little sabbatical and was speaking about fentanyl nationally, and then was made, oh wait, the DEA administrator again, right? And now he was relieved from that. He works for Penlink, and Penlink is great. I'll tell you about that later, but Penlink is great. So I want to see what information they have that's local, because when you get it from federal DEA and you've been current since 2021, I got to see what I missed. I got to see what I missed. So I hope one of you guys can attend,
Yeah, I'll
because
try
I
to do
think
that
it's
with
going to be a great interview. You
Yeah.
guys will love. Oh,
John, we should look at our calendars when we get off the show and see if
I
can
would
make our
love for
road
you
trip.
guys to go, because as you guys know, I have the data. Joanne, you have the data. John, you have the data. I could show you Derek Maltz's file on nitazene, all this stuff that he talked to me about back in 22, 23, right? When he spoke in 23, he left and he said, George, I'm sending you a big file. I'm like, do I have to read it all? He goes, 100%. This thing is this thick with all the drugs that are now being found out that they found out back then. They found it out back then. So I hope you guys can make that. So if I get ganged up, I got my conceal, so I'm going to be okay. But it'll be interesting, and maybe like John says at times, maybe that needs to be done now. But I don't know. I think I think an interventionist, someone in the drug field, the addiction field, would be more qualified than a doctor. Because guess what doctors do? They give you fentanyl. Say it again, John.
Prescribe drugs.
They prescribe drugs. I ain't prescribing no drugs.
For the first thing I want to find out is if this person's prescribing drugs, then what good are they there talking? It doesn't make any sense. It's just backwards.
Think about it.
Yeah.
Right.
So we'll see. We'll find out.
Them, you want mind, body, and soul. That's the only.
Yes.
That's the only real cure. You know,
100%.
you can't put a Band-Aid over it with the drug. You've got to have mind, body, and soul, and you've got to help those people that way to free their souls from getting
So we can report back on what we found when we go. So that'll be a good follow-up show.
These drugs that people are administering to people, I'm taking to this. I speak about my 20-year anniversary this coming week. And I'm going to take this because it affects the cerebral part of the brain, or decision making, or logic, or thinking, of being able to be rational, be empathetic. And these drugs destroy the cerebral part of the brain and the frontal lobe, which is our thinking, decision making, and things like that. So these people who get into this and don't know the deep down effects of this stuff, they profit off that. Why would I want to distribute a drug that's going to affect another human being and have side effects.
Mm.
They're not the side
And-
effects; they're the effects.
And
And
then
you know,
on the
there's-
side effects, they need other stuff to fix the side effects.
I know. And you know,
It's
there's
like-
already a large group of people that have already been affected by those areas you were talking about, because
100%.
they've been groomed. They've been like brainwashed already.
Yeah.
So they're already not thinking rationally. And to have that happen and then have fentanyl running around, it's just it's really dangerous.
So the fentanyl, the strengthened fentanyl goes immediately right to the front lobal, and there's no decision making. They're
Yeah,
out.
forget it.
It just shuts down. So when the brain is not able to just have a moment of clarity, the brain starts shutting down. And then all the other stuff, sadly, so it'll be interesting. I hope, really hope this. I didn't want to go because I get in trouble, not bad trouble, but I kind of get in trouble. I don't have a lot of friends in town. That's okay. But I wanted to go because I'm hoping that they really, maybe something that we have brought to light and maybe something that we have shared in the past 5 years. And with you guys doing this podcast, maybe it opened up some eyes. That's the hope, right?
Absolutely.
So George, if Thrive came to you, what would you advise them in? Like if they came to you and said, yeah, we've got this doctor, but what else can you add to this? What would you do?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm going to share with you what I would do. I'd have to give them my resume from all my training in the addiction field, because doctors are not all trained in the addiction field. And I think I've sent you copies of my credentials. 12 years, and I'm still learning shit. God,
Right.
man. So if a doctor gets a degree and I'm a doctor, does that mean that they know everything? I don't know everything. I'm still expanding. I just picked this out the other day because the kid told me that he overdosed on, not overdose, he got poison on fentanyl. There's a difference. Fentanyl is not an overdose. When they take the pill, it's an overdose because they don't know. But drug addicts actually, are targeted. So when he told me that, I had to do my research, so I know what I'm talking about. A lot of these people get these kind of things. So I got my certification in as an interventionist. All that is good. I got a lot of paperwork, fluffy stuff. But if I don't continue studying, how am I going to stay current with what's happening? They get a doctor degree. I'm good. I'm a doctor. Okay. When's the last time you studied anything? Well, and when they
times
say
are changing, and the drug field is continuously changing. I mean, especially from when I was a kid, we had, pot was like Hawaiian pot, or hash or whatever it was. But now it's all this synthetic stuff that's in there. And even for the police officers dealing with finding this stuff, that fentanyl is so dangerous, they got to have gloves on, because it could kill them if it's at its purest point and they touch it,
Yeah. And another one that currently what they're going after now is kratom. I've always known kratom has been sketchy. Nobody wanted to listen to me. That's okay.
Now, is that the one that's sold over the counter?
Yes, what they're doing now is
kratom's addictive too. That's just
say it again, John. Yeah, it's just another.
What they're doing is that they're just supplementing one to the other. That's all. Yeah.
Exactly. They replace one. They give it a nice name. They got a nice cover for it, and then and the effects of kratom have led others to a stronger amount of addiction, because the impact or the high might not be as strong. So now they got to level up. And so now the government wants to go after kratom. So all these, and I love Habib's, Habib shops, they had them in New York. They got them all over. I love these guys.
What's a Habib shop?
A Habib shop is like usually there. Go ahead.
Just a bodega, where you get your bud, your flower, your weed,
You get vapes, shops. You get, they're like
Do they call
little.
that a bodega?
Yeah, well, in New York, they used to call them bodega. Oh, here we call them Habib shops, which is usually they're owned by Indian or other nationalities, not Americans usually. Americans have like, 7-Eleven, other. So most of these most of these foreigners, not all of them are bad. A lot of them love me. I talk about addiction and law enforcement, and they love me. But they sell some of those things because when you follow the money, they want to make money. I get it. I want to make money, but not at the cost of another human's life. I don't want to jeopardize another human being. So, and now Kratom, all these little shops that are in town, and there's many of them. Let's see I don't know what law enforcement's going to do. I knew this when I went to see Sheriff Flowers back in 2021. I said, all these gambling spots, all these chain centers, all these little, stores that have this, all that, I would plant CIs in every one of them and give them some money, go spend and do that. And then you get your information. But I don't know how they get their information. I get more information than they do. How is that?
Right.
So what could law enforcement do about Kratom if it's sold over the counter? It's a legal thing.
So, well, now it's similar to those books that Universalist Church put out for public. If I'm a law enforcement, I know that's out there. My duty is to serve and protect. First of all, that's evidence. So I'm going to go get it. I'm going to get in my car and go get it. Then I'm going to get all that information and get it. So in all these places, my cousin was a DEA, one of the first women trained Puerto Rican from Puerto Rico. She worked for the state attorney then, or the attorney general, and then was trained in Virginia and became one of the first DEA agents. They know how to go in and play the part, get all the information, and then they send it back to Joanne and John, and then you guys validate it, and then you send in 30, 40 people with M16s and tanks or whatever and clean house. But see, they don't want to do that today because when you look at it, some officials get paid. Listen, I'll tell you about Brackett. He knew that this place called Phoenix Well Rising out west of town. I went to see him and I told him, I'm going to be nice. I know the guy who's running it, Pedro Barbones. Let me tell you, he has no credentials in the field of addiction. He's running a sober house and he was renting to him. Follow the money. So when I told Brackett back then, I said, oh, I'll just get the DEA involved and FBI. He closed shop within 2 months after that, 3 months after that. Now, why does that happen? Why? I'm trying to be helpful to this guy. I don't really know Brackett. I have my own opinion on him. I'm really looking for a Doge to come into Vero. And and I'm looking, wait, you're supporting a guy who's extorting people allegedly. I'll watch my terminology. It's taking insurance money allegedly. Oh, they don't meet their criteria. They throw them out in the street. Guess who pays for them, Joanne and John? We do.
The taxpayers pay for that.
So when you have these officials who compromise, I always say it, John says it good, follow the money. When there's corruption, people getting paid, I'm going to cut deals with this. You know what I learned? I just got out of the field of addiction because I have to live with myself when I work with clients. I'm not doing it for the money. I get paid very well, but I'm no longer in it anymore. I don't work for companies anymore. I've become an advocate about fentanyl and all these things. Why? Because a lot of these companies more so, and I got files like that. You know me and files, guys. They are just, some of them have just decided and restored to do it for the money. I can't do that. I can't. Listen, I've worked with politicians, movie stars, pro figures, CEOs, and I go like straight up, yo, you got to cut this out. And I go full throttle on them making changes so they could live a liberated life from drugs and alcohol. But some of these people want to keep them subjected to that because of the money. That's a whole new thing coming out.
Yeah,
I
if it's
hope I
not
could get
money, it's
together.
power. If it's not
Yeah,
money, it's power. It's,
yeah,
being on top all the time. Some of our representatives here in town, I have to wonder, they're still in office. People complain like heck, but somehow they still end up in office again and they keep running. It's for the pension plans. I don't know what else it's for because they're not doing the right things that
The money.
people are asking them to
For the
do.
money. It's for the money.
follow the money. I had a law enforcement tell me, and I met with him privately, and I said, I can give you files from the DEA. He goes, George, that's going to affect my pension. I'm like, have a great life. Have a great life. And I knew he had no integrity. And I knew back then that I had to get my
How does he know
concealed.
he's going to make his pension? He doesn't know that. He doesn't know he's going to make it to get his pension one day. So like you can't sacrifice lives of people in the moment for something that might never come. You got to speak up, or you might not make it to that point.
Yeah. So when you have those, so-called officials who claim to, like, I would clean all of you out. County commissioners, city council, and law enforcement. There has to be a total cleansing. Not all of them are bad. Let me rephrase that. But I have met with many of them, and I got to tell you this: I don't trust them.
Well, I think for this next election, it's time for a rotation. And, we've got the election coming up in 2026 for our county commissioners. And I think it's Flesher's up again, Lohr's up again. And Flesher's
They've been asking me to run.
Time.
They've been asking me to run, but I need Mossad by my side because I'm not going to hold back. Because what they allowed and they've continued to allow, look at our community. Look at what's happened to our community. So they get a good paycheck. Oh, that's fine. But when we can't protect the sanctity of community, of men, women, and children in their proper way, then that creates a problem. And they don't want to address it because they want the votes. Two officials no longer talk to me, and they used to talk to me all the time. That's okay. I got data, and I got phone messages, and I got phone calls. So when they go to try and get another vote, I'm sorry, I got to ask them questions, John. I got to go and ask them questions because I'm like, wait a second, weren't you, what was up? And now, you want to get in office and get another check,
Exactly.
And there's few people that would be authentically not outspoken. Every human life matters.
All like your Muriel said, all lives matter, and that was for all lives. It doesn't matter whether you're black, white, green, yellow, orange. It's all lives, rich, poor, middle class, everybody.
I have rich friends. I have one of my best friends. I'll tell you his name. He wrote Flip. He was an ABC cameraman in California for 40 years. What a great guy. When I went to New York and I was getting my education in this, me and laptops, I have insecurity issues with laptops. He gave me a computer. Like, what friend gives you something out of his heart? And he goes, George, I know you're slow. I said, hey, I'm older than you. Relax. And he goes, George, but you got to keep at it. And so I have a lot of beautiful friends. I have many friends in the field of addiction that are from different races. And 7 women were my bosses. 7 women. I have elevated. I think women are smarter than men. That's my conclusion. That's just mine in my studies. They run on nurturing, and it's a whole nother issue. And these women, they were amazing in my life, and so if I can't respect the dignity of every human life and I'm a sellout, it's going to surface one day. So let's hope we could get Bongino And if we got to throw Holman in the mix, I'm good with that. I'm trying to get Maltz back in here, Derek Maltz. Actually, I want to ask him consent, and maybe we could have him on your podcast.
I was just going to say, George, why don't you get all those people to join us here on the podcast? One of them at least to come on and have some conversation. Indian River County, we love Dan Bongino. I know everybody knows who he is, and he doesn't live too far from here.
Exactly.
We would love to have one of those people here on the show. But, George, we're coming up to a little bit over an hour.
Yes.
And we love having you on the show. Thank you so much. And thank you for everything you do.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys being a voice. People need to hear the truth, and hopefully they'll open their eyes, and maybe we'll save some lives and open up some eyes so they don't have to be affected by the distortion that's taking place in our country. Not now in our country, but what has taken place prior.
Yeah, and George, let everybody know where that meeting is again. Maybe they want to join. Tell us.
So the meeting is on Thursday, August 28th. The time is from 6 to 8:30, and it's at Emerson Center, and it's being put on by Thrive, and they're going to talk about what we've been talking about for years, which is the overdose and fentanyl awareness summit. So I'm excited to see what new stuff they might have that maybe, my people haven't provided. So it's always good to be open to learn, right?
Yeah. And George, why don't you post that on your Facebook, and people can go to your Facebook and pick that up. And you can also send me a photo and I'll post it on my Facebook.
I'll send it to you. And I hope one of you could go. Yeah. It'll be interesting, I'm sure, right?
All right. Well, good night, George. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you both.
Well, everybody, that was a great session at the board report, right, John?
Yeah, that was great. George is awesome. I mean, you can't ask for better contributors than guys like him that are, going to go to bat for the community and advocate against, all these kind of things that are happening in our town. So, that's why we bring you the board report, sponsored by Gus Curran's House of Champions.
Yeah, we have so many wonderful advocates here in Indian River County. We've got Mom for Liberty, fighting for parental rights. We've got Tina Deskovich and what's the other person for Moms for Liberty that started that group. And, we've had Jackie on here. We've had Dina with the fluoride on here. So, Indian River County just has so many advocates fighting for the good of our county. So I want to thank everybody for joining us here at the board report. Remember, it's brought to you by Indian River Connection. So go to indianriverconnections.com to visit our other podcast partners there. And remember to hit the subscribe button. So when we go live, you get linked to us. And what else, John?
That's about it. That was a great show. No, just tune in every Friday at 7 p.m. live and share with your friends, and just let people know that we're here to bring the truth to the forefront in Indian River County and beyond.
All right. Well, that's it for us tonight. Thank you for joining us.
Indian River Connections brings you the first source you can watch for truth on board decisions in Indian River County. The Board Report, where taxpayers and policymakers intersect. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite platform to get notified when we go live on Fridays at 7 p.m. Visit IndianRiverConnections.com for more. Sponsored by Gus Curran's House of Champions.